In the vortex, if the current version of Homo sapiens exists, or evolved further version of Homo sapiens exists.
Of course, everything is evolving. Every species is evolving and expanding. You can't be in your physical body for 1 decade without your cellular structure evolving. And vibrationally speaking, there has been a much bigger jump than as humanity you are allowing yourself to experience. In other words, as people keep finding more ways to hold to their resistant thoughts, they keep creating new diseases. Now hear this. This is such an important thing to understand. Well, we'll back up and ask you a question, because sometimes when you give us your answer, then you hear our answer even better since it's the same answer. Do you acknowledge that diseases are expanding in your physical environment, that new diseases are showing up? So if there's new, I know what I don't want, doesn't that mean that there automatically have to be equal and equivalent new, I know what I do wants? This time-space reality has more contrast than ever before, and therefore more asking than ever before, and therefore more vibrational evolution than ever before. But the question usually, and we think even this time, is asked from the framework of, well, is our physical beingness evolving? And we say it has the potential of enormous expansion, but you drag your heels in catching up with it. You hold to scientific standards and you won't allow yourself. Look how the medical community throws a fit if anybody suggests that you have the ability to heal through the power of your mind. They just freak out over that idea. They want you to be this physical, biological being that only they can see through their instruments. And when they come to understand, we've been telling doctors and scientists for a long time, when you are no longer looking for cures to diseases and instead are looking for vibrational alignment to wellness, when you start approaching medicine and science through the lens of vibration, now you'll really be onto something, you see. So yes, your species has evolved tremendously, and any one of you who spends a good deal of time in the vortex begins to feel the vitality and the expansion and the utter continuing well-being of the absence of resistance. That's really what is required. In order for any of you to experience, while you're here in this body, next generation and the next one and the next one, you see that, don't you? Don't you see the clarity of your kids coming forth? Have you heard their conversation when they're 2 lately? You were 7. Just kidding, but they are. They are clearer. They are smarter in the sense that they are more allowing of who they really are, you see. So there is an enormous potential, but you don't have to wait until you are born into a physical body as an infant to reap the benefit of that expansion. You can begin it right here, right now, today, by peeling the layers of the onion, leaving more and more resistance behind. Because every time you relax instead of tense, every time you laugh instead of complain and moan, every time you praise rather than condemn, every time you offer a sincere compliment rather than a sincere pointing out of some flaw, every time you love rather than hate or worry or fear, every time you choose that in the vortex vibrational stance, you allow yourself some of that evolution that's waiting for you there. You don't have to wait until you are born again. You can be born again right now. Born again right now. Born again right now. Jerry was reminding Esther of something that happened to him many, many years ago, where he had been caught up in this contentious relationship where he just couldn't win. It went on and on and on and on and on. And he didn't know at that time how much he had put into his vortex of creation. But on the day he finally saw that there were too many moving parts and he was never going to move that in the place that he needed it to be in order to feel happy, he just let go of all of it and he moved into the vortex so swiftly that he was a different being. Metaphysical people would have said, "Oh, you're a walk-in. Your old angry spirit left and a new, nicer one came in." And we say it is nothing like that. It is when you move into the vortex, when you release resistance, you allow the full, up-to-speed evolution of who you are. And we love your question so much because it's what we're talking about all day, every day. When you feel anything less than positive emotion, when you feel negative emotion, Negative emotion means you've expanded, but you're not keeping up. So that evolution is what we're talking about all the time, isn't it? That evolution of all things, evolution of ideas, evolution of physical body, evolution of the content of the cellular body that you live in, all of it.
Awesome. Thank you. So you've mentioned peril of the planet, whatever. Energy of the dinosaurs. We are the energy of the dinosaurs. But we're not going to somehow become some new version of Homo sapien, a lighter human being or something like that. We're going to be sticking around as Homo sapiens.
You see, man keeps wanting to make it one way or the other. In other words, we all evolved from that one thing in the ocean, and we say, think about it. Yeah. If you were a descendant of the monkey, then why are there still monkeys? Is it? And so we want you to understand that there is this source energy that is intending much variety and balance for the benefit of the co-creating of the whole. And that variety and balance keeps evolving. Rather than trying to hold yourself static, that's the thing. You cannot hold a species back. You cannot hold anything static. Everything must expand. Everything is expanding. And when you let go, when you stop nailing your feet to the floor and you let go and let yourself go with the flow, then you feel the true exhilaration of life, you see. Life, if it is not evolving and expanding, is not life. And if there is not evolution and expanding, there is not joy. And what is the opposite of joy is that part of you expanded and the other part of you is holding you back. That's what the tension in the human being is about, you see. It's not present in your beasts. Your domesticated ones act more like you do all the time as they hang around with you. But the beasts that are in the wild, the beasts that are in the sea, all that is upon your planet is evolving and expanding. Your world is not shrinking and becoming less. It is expanding and becoming more. You're not becoming less well. You're not becoming less intelligent. You're not devolving. You are evolving. You are expanding, you see. Everything is. And if you don't let yourself go with that, you suffer from it temporarily until you croak, your death experience. We try to be as disrespectful of death as we can, since there isn't any. When you have your croaking experience, you let go of all resistance, and you reemerge into the fullness of all that you are.
So drop the concept of global warming and we're not going to kill ourselves off, and there's not going to be an asteroid that's going to come in, supposedly like how the dinosaurs died, and we're not somehow exterminating ourselves, because didn't the dinosaurs ask for that asteroid if that was the real circumstance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just drop all that, get happy, and move.
Well, here's the thing. You've said so much. It would take the whole seminar to untangle
in that
the flawed premises that you just uttered. But we are not saying drop it. We're saying benefit from it. Let the contrast that you live help you to define what you want, and then focus upon what you want. Your planet is not becoming less, it is becoming more. So when you say, should we just drop the idea of global warming? Well, first of all, there is so much that we would like to say about that. What instruments were you measuring your Earth temperature by in that faraway time that you are now comparing? What is your scientific platform? All of that is incredibly distorted. The next important question that we really would like some of you to ask someone who's in a place of knowing, who was burning the fossil fuel at the time of the melting of the Ice Age? Who is doing that? It sort of brings you into some points of clarity. But now, let's come back around with the environmentalists. Let's assume that they're not crazy. Let's assume that they are taking temperatures and they are watching some things that are happening around the planet, and they are noticing that some of the glaciers are not as robust as they were, and they are feeling some signs of concern. Let's give them that, because they're not making it up. They are seeing things that are valid and real things that are happening on the planet. So let's not set it aside and forget it altogether. Let's look at it and let's feel the discord of that. Let's feel the discord when someone says to you, your planet is in peril, and you feel that knot in your stomach because you watched their documentary and you saw enough vivid detail of what you don't want to be happening on your planet that it emptied you out and made you feel that fearful, disempowered feeling. Well, now let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. What does that emotion mean? People say, well, it means that our Earth is in peril and I'm having a normal human response to it. And we say, oh, it means a lot more than that. It means that you have queued up for yourself a perspective about your planet that the source within you does not hold. You have found utter disagreement in this thought of peril than that which the source within you holds. And why is that? Because source within you is standing in the culmination of all that you've been asking for. In other words, Source knows that your planet is in a constant state of evolution and that all things will evolve to meet the asking that you are asking for. You don't need to worry about so many people focused upon so many documentaries that even if a majority of your people were focused upon negative outcomes and had brought themselves to a fearful place about that, you don't need to worry about that because there is a recycling process that is happening with all of you that keeps you in balance. Old worried ones are croaking. New eager ones are being born. Those like you are getting into the vortex even when the documentary would like to hold you out of it. There is always the balance. You are always coming into alignment. You will never, it is our promise to you, you will never, as species upon this planet, you will never, enough of you, be able to focus in a discordant way predominantly enough that you can do damage to your planet. The well-being is so much bigger than that. But you can, as individuals, use that topic or any other as your current excuse to hold you outside the vortex. And when you're not in the vortex, then you don't have a vibrational place. You're not a cooperative component. You are not then privy to the well-being, you see. What this conversation really speaks to, and you brought it up twice already in the context of these short questions that you've offered. Humans keep wanting to fix what's broken so that I can look at it and feel better. And we say, what you've come for is to see what you think is broken, which causes you to ask for the improvement and then give your undivided attention, as Source does, to the improvement. And when you give your undivided attention to the improvement, you will be one who immediately begins to experience the benefit of the improvement. Of course, you are moving toward less burning of fossil fuels, and you will be better for it. Your air will be clearer. It will feel better to breathe. Your body will enjoy the freshness of it. Of course, there are all kinds of new energies that you're going to discover that are more compatible. But you could not have discovered them. You would not even know to ask for them if you hadn't gotten on the I know what I don't want side of the equation. And so, if you could stop as an individual, we aren't going to ask it of your culture or of your mass consciousness, just you. If you could get on the I know what I do want side of the things that are coming into your awareness, you'll find yourself in that vortex and you will be an example of someone who is thriving. It really is as simple as that. If you need everyone else to figure it out before you go in, you'll never go in. Because there's always going to be someone outside the vortex. And that's a good thing. You came to live some step one moments, you see. We just want you to embrace your step one moment. Do you know that when you get into the vortex and you get in there often enough, the vortex will spit you out on a regular basis because life will keep showing you things that will cause you to find a vibration that doesn't allow you to stay. So the vortex will spit you out, but you know how to get back in. The vortex will spit you out, but you know how to get back in. So if you spend more and more and more time inside the vortex, what begins to happen to you is you begin to feel appreciation for the contrast that gave you the wherewithal to create what's in the vortex. Haven't you had that personal experience? Haven't you lived something that was unpleasant? And oh, you would have killed them if you could. You thought about it often. And now time has passed and you're in the vortex and you look back on that and you think to yourself, if it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't be here. And oh boy, do I love being here.